This slideshow is a brief introduction to hypnosis. In this presentation, I will explain how your mind works and give specific information about hypnosis. Let's begin by looking at the definition of hypnosis. By definition, hypnosis is a natural, yet altered state where the critical factor is relaxed and focused attention is maintained. You may be wondering, how can an altered state be natural? People put themselves into hypnosis every day without even realizing it. Daydreaming, being focused on a TV show or a book that you so focused that you don't hear somebody calling your name, or being focused on thoughts when you're driving that causes you to be unaware of passing by certain landmarks. This is because your attention is focused very narrowly on one thing, and this is an altered state. I will explain the critical factor and its function in a later slide. How do we know what state we are in? Brainwave activity can be measured by an EEG or electroencephalogram. This test is used to measure electrical activity of the brain and shows the activity in the form of a graph, as you see before you. The graph you see now is a graph of brainwave activity at different levels of consciousness. The top illustration is gamma. This is a level that we use infrequently as it is very intense and it is specific to learning or problem solving. The next level represents brain activity during normal waking times. This is your normal waking conscious level. As you can see, the beta waves are becoming slightly slower and spread out. Your consciousness is still fully awake and alert at this level. The next level we go into is alpha. The conscious mind begins to become less aware and less active. This state is thought to be light trance and is the state you are in when you daydream or you become very focused. You can see that the brain activity is slowing even more as the conscious mind becomes quiet and the subconscious mind becomes more accessible. The theta state is a very deep state of trance. And although this state can be obtained through meditation, this takes much practice and it is difficult to reach on one's own. In this state, the conscious mind becomes very quiet and still, as all attention is specifically focused on one thing. In this state, information easily bypasses the critical factor and passes to and from the subconscious mind, setting up optimal learning opportunities. The final state here is delta, and that is when the brain is minimally active, or the conscious mind is minimally active, or this is your sleep state. During hypnosis, you may be either in an alpha or a theta state, depending on the exercise. And now, let us look at the model of the human mind. The human mind is composed of three parts: the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the higher or superconscious mind. Between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is something called the critical factor. During a normal waking state, the conscious mind is active and fully alert. Things in the subconscious mind are not readily available in this state. The plus and minus signs that you see in the subconscious mind here represent your beliefs. All of your beliefs are held here in the subconscious mind, many that you are not even aware of. And these beliefs typically drive your behavior, much like a computer program runs behind the scenes. Let's take a closer look at the conscious mind and what some of its responsibilities are. If you look at the illustration to the right, your mind is somewhat like an iceberg. The conscious mind is represented by the part of the iceberg that sits above the surface of the water. Your conscious mind is responsible for your reasoning, your willpower, your logic. It takes in sensory information, it processes, it makes choices. It is where your volition resides, and it handles some short-term memory items. This is the part of your mind that you use when you are in a beta or conscious state of awareness. As you can see, it seems to handle a great deal of information. Approximately 2,000 bits of information in a given moment. But let's look at the unconscious mind. As you can see from the illustration, the unconscious mind is represented by the part of the iceberg that lies beneath the surface of the water. You see that it is much larger than the conscious part of your mind. The unconscious mind, or the subconscious mind, is responsible for controlling your autonomic nervous system, or almost all of your bodily functions automatically. It stores all your memories and beliefs. It controls your emotions. It is programmed to be right at all times. It learns in pictures or images and metaphors. It is very literal and does not separate fact from fiction. Its prime directive is to keep you safe. Controlling your autonomic nervous system, storing all your memories and beliefs, requires a great deal of space and power. As you can see from the illustration, it is incredibly large and powerful. It processes 5 to 95% of all mental activity and approximately 4 billion bits of information in a given moment. So I ask you, who's driving your bus? This is the space in your mind where hypnotic work is done. Going into a hypnotic state allows access to the subconscious mind where new learning and positive, serving beliefs can be applied. Let's take a closer yet brief look at the autonomic nervous system and see if we can shed some light on the connection between your subconscious and your physical health. There are two states for the autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. The parasympathetic is what is activated when you are calm, resting, safe, quiet. When this state is activated, your body achieves a state of balance. Your bodily systems are supported by receiving vital nutrients, oxygen, and hormones needed to heal or function properly. This system is naturally activated during hypnosis. On the other hand, the sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight response to perceived threats. When this system is activated, adrenaline is released to give you the extra energy and strength to get you through a crisis. However, the release of adrenaline also causes increased heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing, and is not intended to prevail over long periods of time. Your digestion stops or is suppressed. Your immune system is suppressed, and brain function is reduced. Over longer periods of time, where you are highly stressed, this is very damaging to your overall health. Since hypnosis naturally activates the parasympathetic nervous system, relaxation becomes a byproduct of hypnosis. The third part of the human mind is the superconscious. This is our connection to God, or whatever you consider to be a higher power or source. It is also the part of our mind that connects us to all others, or the collective consciousness. This part of your mind connects you to unlimited resources for healing and creating, and the way to get here is through your subconscious. Let's return now to the model of the mind. I told you I would come back and explain the critical factor in more detail. The critical factor it's a critical gatekeeper. It's a mechanism that either blocks or allows information to enter the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind. This mechanism develops around the age of 7. In order to create change in the unconscious mind, you must relax the critical factor. This critical factor does not exist until around the age of 7. That's why young children are so easily convinced that Santa Claus is real or the Easter Bunny. They have not developed the critical factor. The subconscious mind is wide open, and most of the information that they perceive is readily accepted by the subconscious mind. After the critical factor develops, it becomes more difficult to delete old programming and replace it with new, productive beliefs. There are a few situations where the critical factor is relaxed enough to allow access to the subconscious mind very quickly. The first is when you accept information from someone that you consider to be an authority figure. Might be your parents, might be teachers, clergy, reporters, lawyers, so on and so on. The key thing here is it must be someone that you consider to be an authority figure. When we're young, we really readily accept information from our peers as being true and form beliefs based on this information. During highly emotionalized states such as trauma, fear, or elation, we quickly form beliefs that become instantly accepted in our subconscious minds, sometimes not to our benefit. Repetition is frequently used in learning new information, and it takes longer, but is very effective in creating lasting programming in the subconscious mind, and is a part of the process of hypnosis. Repeating affirmations daily for a period of time is a good example of this. Listening to a self-hypnosis recording over and over is another example. Often, if a client is seeking help with accelerated healing, I will ask them to play a recording and let it play over and over again at night while they sleep. Repetition makes, sooner or later, will beat through that critical factor so that the information is accepted. Finally, an altered state such as hypnosis usually gives one instant access to retrieve and receive information from the subconscious mind. Remember the definition of hypnosis? Where the critical factor is relaxed. This is why hypnosis is so effective. It is a safe, faster way to relax the critical factor and access the subconscious mind to change old, useless programming and create new programming that you choose. A few facts now about hypnosis. 1, you cannot get stuck in hypnosis unless you want to. After a brief period of rest, you will naturally come out of a trance state and be awake and alert. In some cases, a person may be enjoying an experience so much that they do not wish to return to consciousness. They can, however, be brought out of hypnosis safely and gently. 2, you do not lose consciousness, awareness, or control when you are hypnotized. In fact, you can talk, open your eyes, even move around while hypnotized. Being in a deeper level of hypnosis causes you to be more focused on one thing, thus suppressing the conscious mind's ability to attend to things outside of the working space. So it may seem as though you have lost consciousness because your conscious mind is specifically shut down and your focus of attention is somewhere else. Sometimes people fall asleep during hypnosis. This is fine, as the subconscious mind never sleeps and records all information all the time. 3, this is one of the biggest questions that I get. Are you going to make me do something that I don't want to do? Absolutely not. No one can make you do something that you don't want to do or that is against your moral or value code. That's brainwashing. I don't brainwash people. People who perform during stage hypnosis, they want to be the center of attention or they wouldn't be there. And lastly, hypnosis and meditation achieve the same effect in the mind. The difference is that when we quiet the mind in hypnosis, we work in that space. Hypnosis is a non-invasive, fairly rapid way to take control of your health and emotional stability through your own internal resources. I work as a co-therapist. My expectation is that my clients are the other half of that co-therapist. Hypnosis does not mean that you sit in the chair and someone else works on you. You must be an active, willing participant in order to effect the most change.